A very warm welcome to everybody. We're so glad you joined us today for this month's webinar, which is Unlocking Access, Balancing Cybersecurity and Digital Accessibility. So today's webinar is going to last a little over an hour, and there are several points during the webinar where we're going to give you guys a chance to ask questions or comment, but just some housekeeping here to begin with, so all of this can be as smooth as possible. We're expecting a good turnout today. So for your information, everybody's going to be muted until these question and answer sections come up. If you have a question or a comment, please feel free to raise your virtual hand at any time. And this will make it easier for our moderator to see you at the top of the list and call on you when the time comes. So our moderator today is the fabulous Elena. And also, please keep in mind, if you're called on, you also must be sure to unmute yourself so that you can speak too. So we allow you to speak, and then you also have to click unmute. So to raise your hand, press Alt-Y in the window if you're using Zoom on a PC, and to lower your hand, just press Alt-Y again. So it's a toggle switch. If you've dialed in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *9 to lower it. This webinar today is brought to you by the Lighthouse for the Blind Incorporated. Our organization is headquartered in Seattle, and it has manufacturing facilities in Seattle, Washington, Spokane, Washington, and Somerville, South Carolina. We make aerospace parts there, and we make products for the U.S. government. We own and operate Ability One-based supply centers located on military bases up and down the West Coast. And we also provide contract closeout services for the military at our locations in California, Alabama, and Virginia. So we're all over the place, and we have an awesome mission, which is to empower people who are blind, deafblind, and blind with other disabilities by creating diverse, sustainable, and meaningful employment opportunities. And we're currently hiring, you guys. So if you or somebody you know is blind, please scope out our open positions at lhblind.org/jobs. And Elena will put that in the chat, and it's all over our emails too. So you'll see that lhblind.org/jobs to see if there's a job for you. So the webinar today is one of these exciting things that we're doing at the Lighthouse as part of some new community-based programs and services that we're going to be launching over the next couple of years. So stay tuned for more, and feel free to reach out to us anytime with questions. And you can do that by emailing questions@lhblind.org. And please share any of this information with people that you think might benefit. One final note, tomorrow you'll receive an informational email automatically from us with detailed notes and relevant links to the apps and services and other items that we'll be covering today. It's a great resource. There's also a link to a survey in that email that we also will really appreciate you guys completing. What you tell us matters, and we've already implemented tons of the suggestions that you guys have made in previous surveys. So now on to some introductions. Since I'm the guy talking, I'll introduce myself first. My name is Tim Paulding, and I manage our computer training programs and our Braille literacy programs at the Lighthouse for the Blind at all of our locations. I'm located at our Spokane location, though, and I also teach orientation and mobility there too. So I'm a certified vision rehabilitation therapist and a certified orientation and mobility specialist. And I've been in the blindness rehabilitation field for about 15 years. 10 of those have been at the Lighthouse. I've taught both assistive technology and orientation and mobility for most of that time. And I also happen to be totally blind. We have a couple of amazing presenters today. One I've presented with a ton, Everett, and the other one, they'll introduce themselves here pretty quick. Their name is Gab, and we're just so happy to have you guys on. So Everett, if you go first.
Absolutely. My name is Everett Elam. I am a certified AT instructional specialist working here in Spokane, Washington at the Lighthouse for the Blind. I teach iPhones, computers, and I teach some cybersecurity, just teaching people how maybe not to run screen readers in the main area. The Lighthouse would be one thing we'll talk about today, just an example. I earned my CADIS license in St. Louis. I've done 3 marathons, and I love to eat. Those are just some things about me. I will say that this is our last webinar of the year. So next month, as you're sitting around the Christmas tree and wrapping all the presents, you could check out some of our other webinars on our YouTube channel. We have some AI-based or AI-focused webinars we've done before. And we also have one on accessible travel, which is something that we'll all be doing as the holidays sort of roll over us. So,
I'll
and
drop
then
that
I
link
will
in the chat. I'll drop that in the chat to you guys.
drop that link.
Drop it. Drop it.
Drop that beat. And here beside me is Gab DeCastro, who is an accessibility professional, and they will introduce themselves now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gab. I use they, them, theirs pronouns. I originally hail from the New Jersey and New York area, and I'm very excited to be here in Spokane now. I am an accessibility professional, and it's been very exciting to create this presentation with Everett. And we originally presented this at the New York Public Library Accessibility Technology Conference. So you'll see some references to New York there.
So as we start this, we do want to say that this is for everybody. So this is from the AT specialists like Tim and I in the audience to anyone else who wants to know about cybersecurity and accessibility. We've had a lot of interest. This isn't a super huge explored area in the blind and rehab field. So please don't feel like anything we say, if you don't understand a word or a term, just put it in the chat or send it to questions@lhblind.org. And we will definitely get that answered, or we'll find the people who can. We will be sending out a resource list at the end of this presentation. And that list has a document which you can follow on a Braille display. The sections of the presentation are demarcated by double equal signs. And if you do your F chord, or as they're saying, F plus the space bar in the fancier, dancier classes, you can do a find command and just find the different areas of the presentation. And we've got 3 main topics we're going to cover today.
Yes, and share the screen.
What's that?
I'm going to share the screen.
Okay, and Gab is going to do a screen share with the slides. And those slides will not be sent out, but the text of the presentation will be. And I think you're seeing those now.
I'm going to share my screen now. And everything that's visually presented on the screen will be read aloud. And again, this is also available in a plain text version that will be sent to you after the webinar.
So again, can't say this too many times. You are all individuals and you're all here for different reasons. And we want to emphasize that there is nobody here that won't benefit or learn. We've really tried to build in all different spectrums into this presentation. So here we go. I'm going to start with our objectives for today's presentation. The first thing we'll be talking about is authentication. Where we've all been through this probably multiple times today, where the computer or phone asks us, are you sure you're who you think you are? And you say yes, and then it goes on and on and on. The first objective is review the forms of authentication and how users can enable those systems to become accessible and secure. The second objective is going to be visual interpreting services like Ira and Be My Eyes. And that objective is understand the different types of visual interpreting services and the role of AI in those services. And my computer's catching up. The role of humans and AI in those services and how we can benefit from each. The third thing we'll be talking about today is going to be staying safe on the digital highway. And we're just going to teach you how to, or give you the information for how to kind of stay safe in that digital landscape that we all it's also being called the metaverse, the internet and everything to do with it. So we're just going to provide accessible ways to stay secure. And I think Gab is going to advance us to the next slide and describe it.
Yep, and I'm actually going to go back one slide first and go back to the beginning. We have a link tree, which if Elena could put in the chat as well. It's just basically one big resource hub, and I'm going to read out the URL, and again, Elena will put it in the chat. It's linktr.ee, sorry, 2 E's, / accessible cyber. So it will be a resource list, and it will also be sent after the webinar today in your 24 hours later email. And we will be doing 3 Q&As, so feel free to raise your hand or put a question, and we'll do our best to cover everybody.
This webinar is pre-recorded, so we're throwing a lot at you today. So more than welcome to engage it asynchronously on YouTube once it's put together.
So as Everett just mentioned, we have 3 objectives and agenda items today. And I'm going to talk about the first one, which is authentication. And so as Everett mentioned, we have to do authentication all the time. You probably had to do some form of authentication to join this Zoom meeting today. And authentication's purpose is to make sure that only users with permission can access what they need to be accessing. And it's also, on its second part, verifying that you are who you say you are, right? So knowing the password or having a key to something means that you can get in there. But a second part of authentication is making sure that, are you really supposed to have the key? Are you supposed to have that password? So we see these in all forms of our technology and physical access too. And there are 3 forms of authentication. And if this might sound a little strong and you're like, this is not my tech background, this is to empower you to understand more about these systems, not to overwhelm you. So there's 3 forms of authentication, and authentication, again, think passwords and logins. There's 3 forms. One is something you know, which might be a password, a PIN number, something like that. Something you are. So that's your Face ID, your thumbprint, or other kinds of verification. And the last thing is something you have. So if you have an access card to a building, like a fob, that's something you have. You can even have these physical keys to help you authenticate, and those are the 3 forms. And when we talk about making it secure and accessible and ease, we're considering all 3 forms of authentication, because if you just limit yourself to one, you're relying too much kind of on one category. So we have a lot of passwords in our lives you have to remember. We have a lot of PINs, and just relying on something you know can be kind of limiting. And then when we're talking about disability and access here, you also have to consider folks who have less tech literacy, who have trouble entering their passwords and numbers, even if they know them, as well as folks who might have cognitive disabilities or impairments that prevent them from remembering them and accurately typing them in. And Everett's going to share a little bit about his experience teaching a student with cognitive disability.
So I had a student, Sally, who had a stroke, and she had a quite a big password to remember, which was assigned to her by the well-meaning IT place where I was teaching. And the student was expected to type in these passwords that she would create. And she would create these really good passwords, but she couldn't remember them. And the buck no longer stops at, well, that's just too bad, she's going to have to, because there are so many other authentication methods that we can use for individuals who have had strokes or who have cognitive challenges. And one of those is this key that I'm holding out. Absolutely, you're going to be a little bit better at that than I am. The key which Gab is holding up is a USB flash drive key. It docks into your computer. When your computer asks you to authenticate, you simply plug the key into the computer or into the USB of the computer, and you're good to go. Adding a USB hub or a USB sort of extender to the key makes it so that you could simply Velcro it onto a lanyard and then maybe put a hub out so that someone could easily reach forward and plug it even into the desk. You know, there are a lot of desks that have USB entry points. And so this really, really evens the playing field for people who can't, type dollar, red hair 4920. Not everyone remembers it. I don't even remember all of my well. Anyway, Gab can say things, but I don't remember anything. So that's a really cool way of authenticating. Google Voice or Google Homes also allow us to authenticate with our voice. So if your child tries to play the latest Ludacris and you don't want them to, then you can authenticate with your voice. So you can say, only play this type of music to my child. If my child requests the latest dirty rap song, maybe we don't do that. So voice, something you are, a voice, and then something you have would be the key that we were talking about.
Yes, and a security system is only as good as the person who's able to access it. So if you have super locked in security, like Everett mentioned, his student had a really strong password, if you have that pop-up that says this is a strong password, maybe you get the color bar that says strong password or not, that's great. But if you have to reset it every time, you're kind of losing the point here. So and again, this is in the handout, kind of more broken down, that by knowing what types of authentication are out there, you can make systems that work best for you. Like just in the process of making this presentation, Eric realized that his computer has a fingerprint scanner, which would be a non-visual way of using his computer and logging in quickly. And I use that all the time as a sighted person, and it just makes it more convenient. So kind of discovering new ways and new systems all the time. And by having these kind of tools, you can set yourself up for success while maintaining the security and the accessibility of it.
And to the rehabilitation counselors, hopefully you're listening, and the teachers of visually impaired, all this technology is available in mainstream computers. Don't let people sell you a really high-priced accessibility product that they say could, help security, until you look at these biometric scanners, also known as fingerprint scanners. Windows Hello, which identifies your face. There are just so many different options that he can't type it or she can't remember. It doesn't cut it anymore. So really think about the different ways that your student can authenticate. Don't even think about it as being a password. Think about it as being a key to a lock. Okay.
And this is a good spot to pause. And Elena, let us know if there's any questions in the chat on this topic. This is our one of 3 pausing points here.
I heard some raised hands.
All right, so we do have somebody raising their hand. Sharon, you are allowed to talk. If you could also unmute yourself.
Hi, Sharon. Alt-A to unmute if you're on a PC. I think it's *9 to unmute if you're on a touch tone.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. How are you?
Okay, excellent. My question is this. I am a cable customer with Charter/Spectrum, and they have this new thing now where there's a voice security system, whereas in the past you always put in a 4-digit code, and they seem to be really wanting people to use it. And apparently, it's identifying your voice. I'm just wondering whether that is a secure thing or whether somehow it might get out into the cyberverse inadvertently. I just wondered if you had an opinion about that.
You want to take this one?
Sure.
Or me?
I'll lead it. I think that's a good question, Sharon, about when you're kind of encouraged to join a new system with the authentication measures they want, right? If they want you to use your voice, it should still be up to the customer and the user. And on the question of whether that is a risk in itself, it's kind of a matter of how that service keeps it private or not. And if they're able to secure their data with your voice pattern recognition and everything the same way they would keep your social security or your bank account secure, it's kind of just another risk that the customer and this organization take on, but hopefully they're taking as many measures as possible to keep it secure. And it is something that's kind of interesting, a growing field that even countries like Australia use that in some of their government access to calling the equivalent of their social security office. They use the voice recognition. So it's this is the first time I'm hearing about a private company doing it, but I think it's always to be cautious of what you feel comfortable with and what you feel that the company is protecting.
And I'd also say it is your right to know how your data is processed, but by giving them your business, you're also giving them your data. And you could certainly email the company. We emailed Ira, which we're about to talk about, and learned about their security protocols. But really, it's kind of like an open window. I mean, if your voice is out there, all of our voices are out there just by virtue of being on this webinar, and we don't have control over where that data goes. So short answer, you're probably safe, but your voice and your voice data is probably safe, but you might want to write a letter and see if it's concerned to you. I don't think it would be. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, we're going to take one more question, then we're going to roll to topic 2.
All right. So in the chat, Victor asked, does the password USB key have a password? Is it programmed to automatically enter or only store the passwords?
So the security key, it works so that you do not have to enter a password. The whole point of the security key is so that you can plug and go. So that if this person is in possession of this thing, just like your house key, you can unlock the computer. And thank you for that, Victor, because I need to make a demo video of that product in action because it really is something. Your laptops, don't even advertise up front in an accessible way that they have a fingerprint scanner. And that's why a lot of people aren't using those. And there's not a real tactile way to see how these security measures are implemented in an accessible way. And that's what we're trying to change. So thank you for your question.
And I think too, the USB devices don't necessarily store a password. It's a totally different authentication method with like a piece of software on the thumb drive, right?
Right.
It's like tapping your ID card to get into a building, right? It's like
okay.
It's some buildings might have a pin to enter, or you can tap. So think of it kind of that way. It's an alternative.
Got it.
And there are different services. There's different softwares out there too for you to do like passwordless, but that's beyond the scope of this. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to go down the authentication rabbit hole.
All right. Thank you so much for all the raised hands and engagement. We are going to move on to visual interpreting services. And we're going to talk about 2 services today, Be My Eyes and Ira. So Be My Eyes is a service which allows us to, Gab is advancing the slide. Do you want to describe this next slide?
There's no images on this slide. It's
okay.
Just comparing what Everett's going to say next.
So Be My Eyes allows us to point our camera at anything and have someone on the other end of our phone tell us what that something is. That someone is a volunteer. Be My Eyes, it is not better or worse than Ira, as I've heard kind of bandied about. It is a volunteer-based service. So it is going to be, you never know if it's your next door neighbor or, someone across the world. And people are using this service for amazing things, cleaning their house. Some people use it to send pictures. There's a camera button, but we always want to make sure whenever we use something like Be My Eyes that we don't have anything that's capturing our address or the place we're living, or our credit card numbers. Probably don't want to email or scan your credit card information. I think back to those old Windows Live Messengers conversations that had never give out your credit card number in an instant messenger conversation. So Be My Eyes is volunteer. The service is very flexible. You can get someone at all hours of the night. Some people say that they are not able to. My solution is just to call twice or even 3 times, but that could be more my annoying personality. Ira, on the other hand, has specially trained agents. They have since their inception gone through a few different models, but right now they allow for one 5-minute call per 48 hours if you are an unpaid person. So it's best if you're using Ira for something secure to have your documents ready to go. There are tripods that you can pick up on Amazon. I'm terrible with a camera, so I use a tripod with Ira if I want to take advantage of that free service. And I believe the first sort of tier 1 of Ira is going to be like a $25 for 50 minutes. We did email the CTO of IRA, and I won't go into all the security measures they use, but they are HIPAA compliant, and they also have I believe it's the ISO 8000 compliance, and they're working on more towards the end of the year. And we would like to thank the CTO of IRA for getting back to us on that.
Do you want me to finish up?
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, as Everett mentioned, these are two different services that you should know who's behind the camera the same way before sending something that's sensitive information you'd want to know. And these have different functions. And again, one is free and one is paid. And from what we know, IRA does comply with some of the higher level security measures, and we'd have to follow up with Be My Eyes to know a bit more about that. And then the last kind of fun feature about Be My Eyes, well, I say fun, but last really interesting and new feature is called Be My AI, and it's powered by ChatGPT. So Be My AI, you're not calling a real person on the other end of the line. You're uploading or taking an image, and then you have the ChatGPT powered artificial intelligence scanning the image and interpreting it for you. So we're going to do a demonstration of this on our next slide. But Be My AI is a part of Be My Eyes. So you'd have to sign up for Be My Eyes as a user, not as a volunteer, I believe, and then you could access that service. But when we're talking about security and everything, we just want to kind of draw the comparisons and contrast between the two, because it's important for you to know where your data is going, and for blind and visually impaired people who are using these services to be kind of know what is going on behind the curtain of each of these. And you're always encouraged to, we reached out to the CTO of IRA, and they're very responsive. I know the Be My Eyes team is very responsive. So you have a specific question about one of those, we encourage you to reach out via email to them, or we can help connect you through via email. So I'm going to advance to the next slide, which is a video. All the imagery is described. It's Everett doing a voiceover while looking at Be My AI through his phone. So this video is also available via YouTube. And again, the links will be available after the presentation, but I'm going to go ahead and play it now. I'm going to stop and start my share screen just to make sure that I have sound on. Great. And I'm going to play it now.
Be My Eyes is a visual interpreting service that allows you to point your camera at anything and have a volunteer who is on a video call, could be anywhere else, tell you what you're looking at and describe it to you. So you can use this for recipes or cleaning house or any number of things. We're going to go home first. So Be My Eyes allows you to use ChatGPT now, which is called Be My AI, and that allows you to have photos described. And that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to take 3 fingers and tap twice to turn my speech on. Speech on. I had my speech on so that it wouldn't interrupt me. And then I'm going to turn my screen curtain on, which blacks the screen, and that's going to be done with a 3-finger triple tap. 1, 2, 3. Screen curtain on. Now I've got to find the share button in the bottom of the photo. Toolbar, share, button. Direct, share button. Dismiss pop-up. Double tap to dismiss pop-up. And the reason my screen is blacked is because when you share something, if you've ever done that before in a text message or an email message, it pops up all of the contacts that you might want to share with, which is generous of Apple, but we don't want that today because we don't want you to see the names of all my contacts for privacy. So we're now going to swipe up with 3 fingers to turn the page and scroll up. Close button. Add to new quick page 2 of 2. And we're on page 2 of 2, and it's the last page. So now I can just swipe to the left until I hear describe with Be My Eyes. Extract text, save to file, create watch, add to shared, recognize, save to drop, describe, edit, describe with Be My Eyes button. And now I'm going to take the screen curtain off so you can watch as it processes it and writes back to us about what this picture is. Screen curtain off. Describe with Be My cancel button. Please wait. Please wait. Be My AI is writing a message. Be My AI. The picture shows a modern library. The view is from one end of a long aisle between 2 rows of bookshelves. The bookshelves are filled with books of various sizes and colors. The floor is shiny and reflective, likely made of tiles. The ceiling is white with rectangular recessed lights that illuminate the space brightly. There are also some square columns and a section of the ceiling that has a wooden finish. In the distance, there are more bookshelves and a wall with large windows. The library looks clean, organized, and inviting.
Picture tells 1,000 words.
Be My Eyes.
Great. So we're back. You can hear us again.
You should be able to.
Elena, can you get a thumbs up? Cool.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Just like to do that tech transition check, you know. So this was actually part of our original presentation for the New York Library, so you could see or hear about one of the really beautiful facilities they have out there. So I'm just going to read it a little bit slower than ChatGPT does or Everett's voiceover. So the picture shows a modern library. The view is from one end of a long aisle between two rows of bookshelves. The bookshelves are filled with a variety of books. The floor is shiny and reflective, likely made of tiles. The ceiling is white with rectangular recessed lights. There are also some square columns in the space. On the left, there's a long white counter with a speckled pattern. The far end of the library has more bookshelves and a wooden accent on the ceiling. The space looks clean, well lit, and organized.
Like my office.
Just like Everett's office. So, so this is the Be My AI's description of the New York Public Library. We've heard some other folks who will like kind of, if you were in this scenario, you might say, but tell me more about what books are on the shelves, or, you know, don't interpret what the other people are doing, right? If there were people in the background, it might have said it appears there's patrons browsing, or, you know, something like that. So you can kind of play back and forth with the AI and the Be My AI the same way you would with ChatGPT, like almost converse with it. There's of course limitations to this about like what AI can interpret and as it continues to learn, but it's a really cool tool to have for, especially for like a detailed, almost artistic description of a scene. So it's a really great tool to have, and even just for other reasons, like if you were trying to describe it to someone else, you might only use 2 of these sentences, and that might be all they want. They just want the quick and clean version of this is a library, there's shelves, it's very bright, the end. But if you wanted to take the time to learn a little bit more about it, you could use this feature. But again, with the caveat that I would not upload a bank statement, a credit card, or something sensitive to there, just out of your privacy, because when you agree to the terms and conditions, organizations have the right to use your data in a certain way. And while that's a great learning tool, again, use it as a tool, not as a replacement for talking to a secure and verified human being. And we're going to pause here and do some more questions and answers before moving on to our third and final topic. There'll be 2 more videos in that section as well.
Just a quick word about Aira. Is that they have a privacy mode, and if you are not in a position to make an Aira call, but you need to make it privately without showing your camera and audio, you can click privacy mode and the agent cannot see or hear you. So I know we talked about Be My Eyes as well, but Aira is certainly a viable option as well. So we are ready for questions.
I am not seeing any questions or hands raised. We did have a couple left over from the last session if you wanted to answer those, but we don't have any current questions.
Absolutely. You can email questions to questions@lhblind.org if you want to have them read and don't know how to use the chat. Alt-U to raise your hand.
Alt-Y?
Alt-Y to raise your hand. Alt-A to unmute. I teach this stuff every day. I'm sorry.
Elaine, do you want to read 1 or 2 of the questions from before, or Tim, did you want to?
Yeah, I can. They kind of go together. Somebody asked, where does one get the plugin, the key, and does it work in all systems?
So I believe the key, we just picked up one on Amazon, and I believe the key is in our resource link tree.
I'll put it up there if it's not already.
Yeah.
So just the one that Everett uses, but we went through like a website of like top 5 security keys and different price ranges, different levels of security. And I don't think it can work on every system. That might depend how your services are set up. Like if you work for a very, like the government or the state of Washington, you might have very specific systems that don't work that way, but it's always worth an ask of saying, hey, I have this device. It's an accommodation for me to access things safely and securely and easily. Is this something we can do? So that is an option, but we'll put the link in our link tree if we're not already, but you can just look up like NFC and USB security key, right?
Yeah.
All right, and I think that was all the questions.
Great. All right, we're going to advance forward to the third and final topic. There'll be 2 videos in this section. So if you're looking at the screen, it looks like a lot of text right now, but we're going to break it up a little bit. Let's take So this topic is called Staying Safe on the Digital Highway and Social Competence. And it's kind of broken down into two areas, which is physical aspects and the digital aspects. So staying safe on the digital highways, just again, like we talked about, Be My Eyes and IRA is empowering blind and visually impaired users or anybody else to know more about the cybersecurity behind this and know more about protecting themselves and their data while using technology. So the first kind of example we have on the physical security, or like physical actions you could take to secure your information, is to use a little privacy shutter on your device. So I'm looking at a laptop in front of me and it has like this little thing that kind of fit my fingernail into, and it slides the webcam cover back and forth. So it'd be the equivalent of someone putting a black piece of paper over your webcam, which just means that if someone was able to access it, they wouldn't actually, they wouldn't be able to see anything past that black screen. So if you've ever joined a Zoom call and someone's like camera's on, but it's a black screen, it's maybe because their webcam cover is on.
I'm going to interrupt real quick. I know the JAWS 2024 version has a new feature called Face in View, which allows us to tell if our webcam is blocked or unblocked, and it also allows you to tell how many faces are in the camera. So if you're saying I can't tell if my camera's on and off, and I don't want anyone to tell me if they can see me or not, that's a really good way. Just putting on downloading that 2024 demo, and then you insert space FO, and JAWS will just sit there and chatter. I think it'd be a really good tool to keep kids sitting up straight in their chair, because it actually will tell you if you're too far down and too far up. But that's one way, and that's, like Gab's saying, a little switch on the top of the monitor, top of the laptop monitor, very similar to what you'd see on the Echo Show. So that's kind of a way to accessibly tell if what your camera is showing, and it's a game changer. And now we're going to move on to this.
We have video. And then so that one is not on every device, but as Everett mentioned, if you're a screen reader user, you can use the JAWS 2024 demo to like digitally kind of check it.
Mm-hmm.
And the second aspect of physical, before we move on to our video, is to use private and secure outputs. So that means using headphones, using the screen curtain, or using a braille display, or another kind of tool that works for you. So as Everett mentioned in the previous video, he turned on his screen curtain with that triple tap to not let you see the preview of who his contacts were and everything. So it's a matter of just privacy, or even turning your brightness down if you're someone who's not really using the visual aspect of your screen. Or using headphones if you're using VoiceOver or another screen reader service, so that again, it's just you who's accessing this data. Because me as a sighted person, I'll turn my brightness down. You can even get the kind of privacy shades, and I can have that kind of privacy that I can go down, sit on a city bus, and know that I'm really the only one looking at my screen. But if I am newly blind or visually impaired, or just kind of still learning technology, I might not realize that I'm exposing kind of my data in physical ways. So just another aspect is to consider using your headphones or screen curtain, or even a braille display if you're a braille reader, because I cannot look over your shoulder and see what it says on your braille display. It's too small, it's too unique. So use a system that works for you there. And Everett, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, two things. The first one is, don't have your voiceover going at 100% volume, 60 or 50% speed, and have your bank account information or your Tinder profile. I've seen both. And it's like, oh, you're going on a date tonight. The second is that this next video we could not have done without Ben Ritter from Exceptional Games, and we just wanted to shout him out. He's creating accessible games, and he's cool people. So this next video is going to be an example created with Ben's technical know-how of how to tell where the internet is taking you. So I'll preface it by saying, look at suspicious links that are in emails and on the internet, because people can make links say whatever they are, but as you'll see in this video, they aren't always what they say they are. And I kind of compare this to sighted guides coming up to you on the street and saying, oh, you want to go over there? Well, where is over there? So
we'll move on to
the footage.
The next slide, which is a video of Everett demonstrating on his Microsoft Word on his computer, and everything else will be described by Everett on the video.
Imagine that you're out on your daily commute for a while, and that you are looking for the grocery store on 5th Street with the white awning. And you've never been there before, so you get a little bit lost, and a stranger, Good Samaritan, comes up and asks you where you want to go. And you tell them, well, I want to go to the grocery store on 5th Avenue with the white awning. And they say, well, okay, I know where that is. Just come on. And they grab your arm and you have to correct that. And then they kind of take you to where you need to go and everything's okay. Well, imagine a different scenario where they take you somewhere you don't want to go and it's not so okay. So just the same as this story, the information highway has little pieces of text called links, and they can take us where we don't want to go as well. So here is how to check a link and ensure that it's taking you where you want to go. First, we want to find the link.
Link, click here to get rid of viruses. Stop computer problems now.
And then a sighted person's going to right click on that link. A blind person's going to use their contextual menu key, which is to the left of the window of the control key, the right control key. So if you take your hand and you go from your arrow keys to the left, you'll find your control key and then one more to the left of that. You can also on a laptop press Shift F10, which I'm going to do now.
Grouping 2 of 6. Copy unavailable. Paste option. Grouping 3 of 6. Open hyperlink not checked. O2 of. Copy hyperlink C 3 of 4.
So we're going to click on Copy Hyperlink.
Link checking example N.
Then we're going to open Notepad by holding in the Windows key and pressing R.
Run dialog. Type the name of.
And we're going to just type Notepad.
Speak O T E P A D. Full untitled Notepad.
We're going to press Control V to paste this into Notepad.
http nypl.org.
And that's taking us to the NYPL website. So it's not a harmful link, but it's definitely not a virus scanner link. And that is
Okay. Yep. So that is the wonderful demonstration by Everett on how to verify the links to UARK. So again, this all comes from the premise of like having full access to it. So as a sighted person, I might just right click and see what the link is. Or I might even get a pop-up warning. Like when you get an email from a news sender, it says, warning, this person is outside of your organization. Or you don't normally get emails from Everett Elam at Lighthouse. So it's kind of just a really cool in-depth demonstration. And again, we'll have this video available later. And really thanks to Everett and the team for putting that together, because we didn't see any other demonstrations like that when we were doing the research for this project. So really hope you take advantage of this YouTube video.
Accessible password managers use an online system usually to store your passwords. I don't know of any yet that I would fully recommend. LastPass is the top one, which I believe Lighthouse currently uses. It is accessible, but you have to be an intermediate JAWS user. And I'm not an intermediate race car driver. You know, I'm not an intermediate on a lot of things. And so it's not fair or right that you have to be a, whiz at assistive technology or a nerd to access these services. So what we really want to do is look at services like LastPass and improve on them. So that means writing letters to the developers. Another one is the Google password system. Google champions accessibility very highly, but again, it's not something that I've tried out as it's a very recent thing. But a password manager is sort of an old school Rolodex, but online. It takes your passwords and puts them behind a master password. So the way this would work is you would put all your passwords into LastPass, which sounds like a huge headache. But once you do that, the headache goes away, because anytime you get to a website, you then go to the area where you put in your username and password, and LastPass prompts you to enter that master password. Free trials are available. LastPass.com, I believe, is where we would go for something like that. There's also Apple Keychain, which allows us to do the same similar thing. But Apple Keychain will store old passwords, and then if you change your passwords, it doesn't usually keep up with that. So again, it's accessible, but you've got to have some know-how to use it. You were going to say something?
Is that to always just be aware of what you're putting it in. If you have the capability to memorize some of your passwords or find an alternative way to enter it, or like give yourself a hint another way, that's always a good idea too from the security point of view. But we're just putting out a few other recommendations to improve the accessibility and ease of access side. But you always just take your own information and understand whatever risk you might be taking on with those kinds of services. So it's kind of just be aware of both sides of it.
Use precautions when you are emailing somebody. with secure information, please don't email your credit card number or your bank account. It is a very bad idea. You probably will not get hacked, but which means to get your information and use it for unruly purposes, but you are inviting yourself to. Email is not secure, and it can be forwarded, it can be replied to, and we forward and reply and send, hundreds of emails a day. And that could get left on one of those threads. You hit Control-Shift-N to delete, or pinch out to delete, and voila, you deleted everything, but maybe your account number is still hanging on at the end. Do not send your credit card numbers or balance information or banking information. Use customized wake words with services like Alexa or Google. And I'm sorry, I probably just made everyone's A lady in Google wake up, but it's just a better way to use these is to create a customized wake word. So you could say something like lemon or baby doll or whatever, and the device will respond to you. A lot of streamers on YouTube are enjoying immensely the ability to control people's A-ladies in Google homes. And we're kind of leaving ourselves open for it. But the setup process is also a little folly in these devices, because they don't suggest that you create a wake word at the outset. And so that's a pretty big security risk that we all may want to try. Any comments on that?
It's A word from Amazon and the G word from Alphabet, and the S word on your iPhone. Those are all just very common words
that S word
in our language now. I know there's some folks here who maybe your name is Alexa, and now you're stuck with this, and every time you say your name, it wakes up the assistant. So you can customize those, or like Everett mentioned earlier in authentication, you can also set it to like a voice thing so that it only responds to you or only responds to these designated people. So again, it's just kind of like a little bit of a security thing. And Everett, we have a nice thing in the link tree that Everett found about a girl who used her mom's Amazon account to buy herself Christmas presents because she was able to access it through.
Well, hold on. So the girl, this was someone in Arkansas, where I'm formerly from, and this individual used her mother's thumbprint on Christmas to unlock the phone, and then basically ordered everything through A-Lady. So it had something the mom was, something the mom, what's the other two? Something you are, something you have, something the mom had, which was her fingerprint, and then something the mom knew, which was the A-Lady, the A-Lady, you can order things on that. So this girl ordered like $250 worth of Christmas presents for herself. And it was actually a pretty big news story in Arkansas. So we do, like Gab is saying, we have that on our link tree. And it kind of raised the debate, like, is this a cute thing for a little girl to do? I don't think so. I think this is sort of like lighting something on fire, because she could have spent thousands of dollars. Fortunately, it was only hundreds. So
just to kind of use that little story in the back of your mind when you're thinking about customizing these services for your privacy and for your bank account and sake of your wallet, in case you have a small one in your house who might use that assistant to order things.
Right.
And we have 2 more features here, and then we'll be closing out the session. So Everett, do you want to read them?
Absolutely. So use Wi-Fi, secure Wi-Fi.
Sure, that's one.
Yeah. The secure Wi-Fi settings, generally you want to put a password onto your Wi-Fi. I am not as well versed in like the WPA and WPA2 and WPS, but basically the one that your ISP, your internet service provider like Comcast or Xfinity recommends is probably secure, but make sure that you don't forgo putting in a good password, a good solid password. And now we're going to talk about social competence. Is that right?
We have one more video, and the last thing was to use an incognito browser for added privacy and security. So on most browsers, I think that's Control-Shift-N on a keyboard. Instead of Control-N for new window, it's Control-Shift-N for incognito browser. So that means it's just not secure. It's not storing as many cookies and passwords and other things that might just be collecting data without you really thinking about it. So if you're doing something that you don't need to save the data for, go ahead and use an incognito browser.
So that S in secure, I think S and Shift, Control-Shift-N is making it secure. And one thing we didn't mention, we're still workshopping this, we didn't mention is that HTTPS is what you want before that :// So when someone sends you a link, just check it whenever you're in your address bar for that S for extra security. And again, nothing is 100% foolproof, but these are accessible ways that we've found that make us sleep a little better at night.
All right, and the last thing is we're going to show one more video. It's a cute little video that Everett and Themis
some of the Themisites.
Some of the Themis Games folks put together, and I will pause it once or twice just to give a quick audio description. Oh, this is the one with the old one. So actually this has some audio description on it. And we'll go ahead and play that. This has the audio description already embedded in it. Way good, way to go.
Two people sit on a park bench. Everett, to the left, holds a phone up to his ear. A woman to the right holds a phone in front of her. They sit on a brown bench with green grass and bright green trees behind them.
Yeah, I can get you my social. I am newly blind though, so it's gonna. Oh, you have to go. Okay. All right. Yep, I can get my. Yeah, I'm good. All right. Social security number. Is anyone else here?
The woman does not look up from her phone or acknowledge Everett's question.
No. Text field is editing. 95,278 social.
A man walks behind the two of them on a bench. He pauses and listens in on Everett. He appears to be taking notes on his phone of what Everett says. The woman looks up and looks behind at the stranger.
Yeah.
The stranger runs away at her exclamation.
What's a shoulder surfer?
Well, you're in a public park, and occasionally people hear data being shared. They're going to walk over and just, look over your shoulder, listen in. So I might consider adding some security to your situation there.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm not sure how you do that, though.
Thank you for telling me that. This is all pretty new to me. So to make my phone more secure, I can take 3 fingers and tap 3 times, and this will turn on the screen curtain.
Screen curtain on. Oh yeah, I can't see it anymore.
We still have the problem of people being able to hear though, so I can also turn voiceover down. The way I do that is I swipe up with 2 fingers,
Notes,
and voiceover starts to read. Now I turn the volume down. Perfect. Another way, if I had one, would be to use a refreshable braille display so that the output of audio was completely turned off, or I could use a pair of headphones.
You unmuted us. Okay, so we're actually submitting that for
Everett, to the left.
If you see us up at the next Academy Awards, that is
You need to repeat that because our video is going over.
So actually we have submitted that for an Oscar and a Golden Globe and anything else. So just if you see that up there, make sure to vote for it.
Oh, how about
Meryl
the
Streep?
Yes.
So that video is just kind of a cool little, almost like PSA style skit describing some of the features that we've talked about in the last few slides. And if you're looking at it, it was this beautiful green background, which is really reminiscent in these dark daylight savings times that Tim mentioned earlier. So we are going to close out the session now, which is some key takeaways and wrapping it up before we move on to the last Q&A, and we'll share our contact information at the end and any other closing thoughts. So passing it over to Everett.
Yeah, we really hope you've enjoyed all of these tips and tricks and keys and locks and all this discussion. We also know we have been talking very fast to get through this, so feel free to engage the content, and you can go to your settings on YouTube and turn us down and slow us down. Tim would probably speed us up the other way. Again, we are not doing a webinar next year. We're not doing a webinar next month, so you can listen to this, 31 times if you wanted to. But now we're going to open it up for questions and answers, and we sincerely appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And let's take a question from someone who hasn't had a chance yet.
All right. So I don't see any hands raised. Dawn did ask quite a few questions in the chat. I'm just gonna pick one.
Okay.
But all the others, Dawn, feel free to email at questions@lhblind.org. The one she asked that I think was most relevant to our last section was, how can you customize wake words for things?
That would be in the setup instructions of your A-Lady or your Google. We don't really have time to go into that, but that's at the initial setup, or it'd be under probably the devices tab. But sorry, we don't have the time to go into all that, but we'll be happy to we'll be happy to send you an email with those instructions. I'll write myself a note right now to do that. So thank you, Don.
All right, and then we did have one person raise a hand. It is a 248 number. You are allowed to talk, and if you could also unmute yourself.
$248. I know that area code. I used
Is
to
that a
live in
Mish?
Michigan. Yes, sir.
That's a
Michigan.
Mish.
Hi,
Michigan.
this is Laura, and I've enjoyed your seminar, but I do want to say one thing that bothered me. You said that Apple keychain was not pretty much up to date with changing passwords, and that's not correct. Apple adds things all the time. They're very security minded, and one thing that I also like about it is Apple watches out for you if things have had a security leak. It'll tell you that the security code may have been compromised. You need to change your password. So that's what I have to say. I've enjoyed your seminar. Thank you very much for doing it.
Well, thank you so much for the feedback. And it sounds like I misspoke a little bit. So thank you for the feedback and the correction.
All right, and we have one more hand raised. Bruce, you are unmuted, and if you could also unmute yourself.
Okay, hello, this is Bruce. Earlier you described how to evaluate a link for security purposes using a PC. When using an iOS device, is there a way to do the same?
So on an iOS, again, we don't have the time to go through the full, but on an iOS device, what I usually will do is if I find the link and I want to know where it's taking me, I do a double tap and hold. Have you done the double tap and hold before?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah. So
but
you'll
not
get
on, not on the link. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll get a sort of contextual menu. And then you can swipe to your right to copy link, and then you can just drop that into your notes app.
Perfect. And then read it there. Got it.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you.
And
Yes,
this is Tim just with a question. There's not too many concerns these days about iOS devices and viruses, right? Or have there been some that have been unleashed?
I haven't heard of any viruses for iOS, but Gab and I have both experienced frozen phones, which we think might be just planned obsolescence, telling us to get the iPhone 15 immediately.
Right, right now, right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak to that exactly. I think, if you're getting an email from someone you talk to every day, that might be one thing. But if you're getting a new email that says job opportunity, $500 a week, work from home, and there's a lot of misspelling, or it says open now, apply now, that's maybe when I would check the link. If you're talking about viruses with the links, if it's a reliable sender, that's one thing. But just like if you'd open the door, if you knew someone was on the other side versus, oh, that's a new person, let me hesitate before doing that.
Absolutely. That's a good analogy there.
If I could clarify regarding the Apple, I think what I meant and probably did not say was that Apple's keychain is very accessible. It's just a little bit difficult for a beginning user, in my experience, to understand that once they click save password, they may have to go in and later delete that password. So again, thank you for the correction on that. And we have a raised hand here.
All right, Hazel, you are
webinar lower hand button up.
Hi, Hazel. How are you?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, I couldn't get in on the first part of this because I was having computer problems, but
it's going around.
You said we could re-listen to this, but I'll tell you what, I don't know very much about how to do stuff with Zoom. I don't know how to do that. I can get into Zoom meetings. I can participate in it. I don't know how to get any of the stuff that's put into Zoom in some like in chat panel or whatever. I need to go someplace, I guess, where I can learn all about Zoom.
Well, that sounds like a future webinar topic, Tim.
There we go. There we go.
And people say you can re-listen to this and you can find links. I don't know. How do I do that?
Yeah, so this is Tim. I spoke quite a bit at the beginning, and so there's a few different ways to do that. Number one, you will receive You'll receive an email in about 24 hours with the links to all the stuff that we covered today. And one of those links is a link to our YouTube page that has all of the past webinars that we've done. You can also go to YouTube and search the Lighthouse for the Blind Incorporated, INC, and that will pull up our YouTube page. So yeah, there's lots of different ways. I can actually look you up in the registration and send you a link directly if you'd like, if you think that would help. What do you think you're going to be able to do? All right, we'll be looking for that email after 24 hours. Do we have any other questions?
I do not see any more.
I will go ahead and read out our contact information then. And Elena, if you wouldn't mind copying and pasting that in the chat for anybody that can access that. Just again to say thank you to everybody for participating and joining us here today on this webinar, or folks who might be viewing it later on YouTube. And my name is Gab, and my email is gabdecastro5@gmail.com. That's G as in girl, ABDECASTRO5@gmail.com. But since it's hard to phonetically hear my name, it's easier to email Everett, which is EELAM@lhblind.org. And also it's very similar to Tim's email, or you can email questions@lhblind.org, which I think was part of the registration info as well. So feel free to access any one of those emails and we'll get it to the right person. And to check out the lhblind.org website for the jobs available and to see links for other previous webinars. And again, as Tim mentioned, in 24 hours, you'll get a little bit of like a recap email with our plain text version of our handout and some more links that we have provided and kind of curated to you for you if you're more curious about what we talked about today. Everett, is there anything else you want to add?
No, thank you all for participating, and we appreciate the good and the constructive feedback, and thank you so much.
Awesome presentation, Gab and Everett. Everybody, we will have our next webinar in mid-January of 2024. And if you've registered for this webinar, you're on our mailing list, and we'll send you an email about what that webinar is going to contain, and we'd love to see you there. So thanks, everybody.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye.